few heroes that can actually split up the fight against the Centaur.
Absolutely, and great against some of the heroes on Na'Vi. You know, the other game, walking down the Earthshaker with the battery assault can be very irritating. Shadow Fiend, he's going to be very vulnerable once Clock hits level 6. We very well might see VP put a lot of pressure onto Dendy, and they really don't want to play against G's heroes. The final ban from Na'Vi will be the Viper. And as I said, I was doing a little bit of research just now, trying to look back at what else there was available that he has played recently, and Windrange is the only one. And
that's a good pick.
They're going to pull out the Brood
That's
card
a
here.
really good last pick. Right now, VP, they only have, what, 2 ways of dealing with him? They have the Rubik, of course, with a Fade Bolt, and I guess Gyrocopter is okay. But I think what Virtus.Pro might have to do is just have the Ancient Apparition and the Rubik stay top, which leads me more to believe that VP are going to need a very self-sustainable mid. They could go back for the Wind Ranger. I think TA is still okay. But no, even they're going to go for Lina. Okay, that's actually a very good matchup for the Shadow Fiend as well. So this means that VP know that their supports are pretty much going to be sitting top. Like, they need to make sure that Funnick does not get a good start. And I think between the two of them with the Lift and the Rocket Barrage, plus you have that Chilling Touch, they can kill Funnick with ease. That's not really the problem. It's just how much are Virtus.Pro going to have to commit to that top lane before those supports can start moving around. And I think that's where Na'Vi are actually, maybe for the first time this entire series, I think their draft is actually better.
Okay, and well, it's going to need to be. This is the last game holding Na'Vi in here as VP, of course, 2-0 at the moment in this best of 5. This game, it really is all or nothing for both teams. And as we get ourselves in, let's have a look at how this one goes down. As you were saying, draft-wise, you feel a lot more confident in what Na'Vi bought this game compared to Game 1 and Game 2. Game 1, it was a little bit rocky. Game 2, you were a little bit happier with. But Game 3, you feel this is Na'Vi's draft at its best so far this series.
Definitely. The last pick, Brood, kind of seals it. I think the amount of reaction that VP are going to have to this Brood in general, it's all going to be down to, can they keep him down in the early phase? Like, can they kill him 1 or 2 times, give Illidan that easy lane that he's looking for, and then you can actually have your supports move around the map. I think Lil and FNG add so much more to the team when they're not held in one place. Like, their rotations have been on point throughout the entirety here of the ASUS ROG DreamLeague, and I think if Funnick is just able to keep them there, then that's horrible for VP. You do not want to have that matchup happen, and especially since you're going to have a Dazzle and a Shaker who could potentially be roaming around on your middle lane too, which is Alina, which is very gankable.
And the one thing to note as well, of course, the fact that Funnick being on that Broodmother is going to push the Centaur Warrunner into the hands of Havos. Now, what do you reckon about the Havos position 1 Warrunner in this kind of lineup?
It's been run before by teams like Alliance. I actually know that Loda has played his fair share of Centaur as well. I think it works in lineups where you already have a lot of physical damage and heroes who have a lot of presence. So Broodmother, obviously, being that one. Very nice fissure, by the way, coming out from Seneko. He's going to pretty much secure himself the rune as 3 members of VP just watch it happen. Nothing they can do about that one. They just casually walk up the hill. But I do like the position 1 Centaur. I think it's very strong. And it also, you don't need a hard carry when you have Shadow Fiend and Brood, because the heroes already like soak up so much farm on their own that I think having this kind of initiation style core works very well.
Oh, Sentry's going to be dropped, but straight away Funnick there puts his own Sentry in. Oh, they know he's there, and they're going to try and do their best to control this Spider, and they're going to need to. I mean, we've seen the power of Funnick Brood. If you don't shut it down early, you're going to have a lot of trouble. And here they go. No. They're going to go again now with the Dust. Funnick's in a lot of trouble. This looks like it could be your first burn, and it will be indeed. Virtus.Pro doing exactly what they need to against this Spider.
You got to respect that damage. I think he ended up getting the ward, though, right? Yeah, so he got the Sentry ward, but he ended up trading his life for it. I don't know. Oh, he tangoed it, yeah. So, I mean, that trade's probably not worth, just because the farther behind you get, the easier it is for one support to zone you, and that means that if anybody can move around the map, it's still going to be better. Like, if FNG can leave, or if Lil can just sit behind mid and ensure that G has a nice time, or maybe they even get a nice lift into his stun onto Dendy, they could even look to go for a kill. I think it's crucial that Funnick does not give away any more free kills. He needs to be able to soak from this lane.
I guess on the plus side for the side of Na'Vi, if the supports of VP are having to focus on killing the Brood, it's going to give Shadow Fiend a pretty good time in the mid lane. You know, he's going to be able to find that space to confidently farm. Well, and, of course, bottom lane as well. Havos is going to have quite a nice time.
Yeah, Havos will farm, but the 1v1 matchup, the Lina versus SF is actually... he's not favored at all. Like, this matchup, G will actually crush. And knowing how good of an aggressive player G is, I would imagine him to push it to its utmost. So that's why I was kind of emphasizing the fact that the Brood is very important for Na'Vi, because if G can win his lane by himself and the supports can move around, it's like 10 times worse. But if it's just a 1v1 and perhaps Na'Vi can send in the Shaker to try to equalize it, then it's a lot better for Na'Vi, because Dendy can get to his core items and then G's not so scary. So the Brood pick needs to be able to accomplish a lot here.
Okay, We are just having this quick pause as Dendy's ready to go back on, and yeah, G's called. We're ready to get itself back on the road. I guess the plus side for Funny, of course, even though the trial lane of Virtus.Pro is very potent, there will be that point where you can always look to back off into the jungle and maybe play it a little bit more safe if necessary.
There's always recovery methods. You leave him alone for a few minutes, he'll be back into the game in no time. It's not really... That's not really, I think, what they're worried about, though. G.
I'm not going to go for that one there.
Close. But the recovery of the Brood is always going to be great. It's just how long are VP going to sit up here and stop Funnick from being able to do his thing?
Bottom lane, Phobos able to find quite a bit in this lane so far in terms of XP. He's got himself a few CS as well. Havoc just baiting there with the hoof stomp. But at this point in time, the farm for both position ones looking pretty good. Havoc there, 4 for 0, and then you look over to the side of VP, and of course Jar at the moment 6 for 2 mid lane. G getting low now with the Fisher. This could be a kill for Na'Vi, and it will be indeed. G getting caught out there very nicely by the Fisher and the follow-up damage from Dendy. And bottom lane, we might see another kill as they're trying to go in onto Phobos there. He pops down the cogs, and now he's trying to turn Marok around. He's thinking of going for this one with a battery assault, but no, it's not going to be quite enough.
Oh, the creeps! Oh my god, art style. Okay, art style went a little bit ham there. I think he was worried about Phobos dying and just ends up getting taken out. But what Phobos was trying to do is actually cancel the auto attacks of Phobos on the cogs with battery assault to make him continually tank the tower. If he had done it, I think maybe a little bit faster, he might have been successful, but not going to get a kill. Unfortunately, art style just ties to creeps, so not great.
Funny. He's had to leave the lane here as FNG's just kind of chasing him around. He's doing as much as he can to shut down Funnick's early game, but looking back towards the mid lane, Dendy and G still pretty much on par. Obviously, Dendy just with that kill that he was able to get him up with the help of Seneko, helping him out. And G's got to be careful because Seneko, he's really just been sitting around mid. That's all he's doing. He just really wants to ensure that Dendy has an okay early game against this Lina.
It's a luxury that you have as a shaker, as Seneko doesn't really have any pressure on him to do stuff. Like, sure, you can go bottom, you can throw out a fissure to maybe kill Phobos, but I think it's even better to just get Dendy the farm. Just make sure he can get his treads. He might go mech, might go early BKB this game, or even Yules. I think Yules is actually kind of good, but maybe against Clock, not as viable of an option. We'll decide what he goes for, but he's also stacking the woods for the Shadow Fiend too, so Seneko is making the most out of his early game. The triple stack is in the large camp now by the tier 2, and then you'll be able to clean that up at some point.
Funnick, he's gonna go back up, but there is a sentry ward here on this top lane. Got to be very careful how close he comes to the VP tri lane. We'll see now whether they can catch him out. Bottom lane, Seneko with a rotation. He's going to find the Fisher block on. So Phobos, can Phobos get around this one? No, he is going to be totally blocked up. Now with 3 heroes trying to go, Phobos will drop the cogs. And with the battery assault, doing a fair bit of return damage to Seneko. He's not going to be able to go for that one. They do have the shallow grave just to make sure that Seneko doesn't go down. But they won't be able to kill Phobos there, even with the Fisher block.
And very nicely played by Phobos, and that's one of the great benefits of being a melee hero. Being Clockwork against melee heroes, is that when they try to walk into you to deal damage, you just pop cogs. He isolated one of them, almost gets a counter kill, but unfortunately Dazzle's there. So overall, not a terrible start for VP. They're still leading by 1 kill. The Brood is just a persisting issue. You see that Lil and FNG, this is the first time that Lil has pretty much left the lane. I think he checked the rune 1 other time, and maybe other than that, he's just been sitting up here, just making sure that Funnick does not get anything. Like, he's level 2.5 right now, which is pretty darn low considering the fact that Phobos is already level 4, and he's managed to keep his tower in pretty good shape. So in the war of the offlaners, VP are definitely winning. It's just G needs to play extremely cautious. This lane being so even is only because of the fact that Seneko has been lurking.
And Funnick here is trying to do his best to move around these sentries and keep himself close to the creep wave to find some kind of XP, some kind of gain from this offlane. But FNG, Lil, they're ready, and they're ready to pounce as soon as Funnick moves back under the sentry's vision. It's going to be okay for the time being, and G's still in the mid lane. How's he doing? Well, he's keeping on pretty good against this SF as expected, but even with the harassment there earlier on from Seneko, G having a pretty good time. And they're still trying to do what they can against this Funnick Brood Mother. They keep moving in and out every time he goes in of that sentry vision range. And he's finding himself a little bit more, but as you said, not as much as Phobos, who's having a much better time here for the side of VP.
It could be the one difference maker for VP is the fact that they have that Clockwork who's going to be level 6 probably by like 7 minutes or so, it means you can actually start counter ganking. So the supports on the side of Na'Vi, Artstar for example, he has Grave, which is a nice utility up against the Cogs and the hookshot, but you can very easily go for picks with this Clock, where Brood kind of has to remain stationary. G's going to eat a raise here after a fissure. We'll be fine though. Going to force a teleport reaction out of Lil. I think it's going to be down to how much work can Phobos actually do during the mid game, because between Lina and Clockwork, I'd say their kill potential is pretty insane. Like, they can kill any hero on the side of Na'Vi with ease in that combination, and I think they're going to be relying on that heavily to relieve some of the pressure from their supports.
Funny, maybe feeling a bit more confident, but the dust is going to be popped, and Cold Feet isn't going to quite dick in here. Illidan will try and chase this one down. They've still got the vision of him, and here we go. Illidan with the chilling touch. He is indeed. Funny's going to get taken down by VP, and man, this is not the lane for this Broodmother. And G, oh, he's coming down to the bottom. He's got himself a haste rune. Havost and Artstyle could be in trouble. Guna Blade out straight up with the Dragon Slave onto the Centaur. They're going to let Artstyle as well. Here with the telekinesis holding him back. He will be able to get the shallow grave off, but he'll almost certainly still die here as there's 3 of them chasing him down. The right flower, is the heal going to be enough? Just enough? No, the Dragon Slave again. G, double kill on Lina with that rotation. You ban out 5 of this guy's heroes, and he still just picks the Lina. And early into this game, 6.5 minutes in, pretty much destroying your lineup.
That haste rune coming in huge, though. Like, without that rune, those kills may not happen. But either way, they actually had a lane ward instead of a bottom rune ward, which is interesting to note in the very early part of the game. So they were putting a lot of emphasis on making sure that Phobos didn't get a lot out of his lane. A couple of things to note so far for like the first 6 or 7 minutes. Funnick, he's already died 2 times. He's still only level 4, whereas Clockwork is now level 6, so it's a 2-level advantage for the offlaner of VP. Funnick is supposed to keep these supports in place by applying pressure to the lane, but he didn't respect the killing power of VP when he went to go get that D ward, or maybe he just thought that he could tango the sentry and run, but ends up giving away first blood. So now he's actually very far behind, so much so that he's almost a liability at this point, whereas the Clockwork has fully come online, and now Phobos can start moving around the map. In addition to that, Gyro's been farming at the same rate as Dendy, who has been mid. Now, he had help as well, and G is still doing okay given the circumstances, picking up the double bottom. So I would actually say that VP are in really good shape right now.
It certainly seems that way. Na'Vi trying to react to this. They've sent us up to the top lane to try and help Funnick out and keep him a little bit more safe, but it's going to be hard, as you're saying, with the fact that, well, even just the supports at this moment on the side of VP looking a lot healthier than the offlaner for the side of Na'Vi. It's quite different. I mean, you know, Ice Blast, it's something small, but still, once he hits level 6, you've got to be very aware, and it's 8 minutes in, it's going to come online pretty soon here for the AA.
And once it does, a hook into an Ice Blast is just a dead hero, like with or without Grave.
He's walking in, Illidan trying to move forward here, has the cooldown in here. Phobos, you're talking about the rotation straight away, finds 1 kill. They're going to try and chase down Funnick here as well. He hasn't actually got mana to throw down another web, so he will go down as well. 7 for 1. VP, this series, they are certainly proving to be the stronger team at the moment.
This is actually like an early game slaughter so far. They even have 3 behind enemy lines. They're going to find Saneko.
Ooh, this is so painful for Na'Vi, losing the Earthshaker as well. VP's performance, it's quite something.
Na'Vi are getting brutalized right now. I actually thought that the Brood would be able to do a lot more work, but I guess the combination of the AA and the Rubik is just too strong of kill potential. And putting it up against the Gyro on top of that just means you get caught, you are immediately dead. The safe lane from Na'Vi, they weren't really able to kill the Clockwork. I mean, he hasn't died yet, and Phobos has been involved in half of his team's kills, so I guess having the melee farming core, the Centaur, kind of stops you from having any kill potential on that hero whatsoever. And they also have a melee support on top of that. Their heroes are just too defensive in nature to really deal with Phobos. So in reality, the Brood pick seemed pretty good on paper because they could force some kind of reaction out of VP. And even with their support sitting top, it still doesn't matter.
Now, Havost is 200 gold away from the Blink Dagger, so maybe once that's online, we'll see Na'Vi try and look for the fights themselves and try and get a jump onto VP rather than vice versa. So they have got that going for them, Na'Vi, but it's something small at the moment because so far, VP in terms of lanes, in terms of the farm as well, looking great. Oh, Funnick, yes, able to move himself out of that one. Artstar might not be as lucky. Yeah, they've got Saneko there with a fish to buy some time. They're going to have to use the Stampede, but the flat cannon actually still flying through it. Oh, it gets him! The flat cannon shot chased him down as he stampeded away, which meant by the time it hit him, the shallow grave was gone. They also killed the Broodmother as well, and everything seeming to be going VP's way.
It's pretty ironic that the draft that I thought was actually maybe one of the better ones that Na'Vi put together ends up getting crushed the most in the early game. And between these two teams, normally it's Na'Vi who have a lead. At least yesterday that was the case. Like every single game they had an early game lead, and this time BP just seemed to be one step ahead.
If they find Dendy, I mean Phobos and Lil wrapping around, they've got the hook shot available.
This is dangerous though. This is a very dangerous diving a tower like this.
And the Ice Blast, if the Ice Blast had hit, they
thought he was farming the woods, so hookshot's gonna miss. A little bit unfortunate, but I don't think VP are gonna sweat it too much. They still have a very solid early game going for themselves.
I mean, for Dendy on the Shadow Fiend, his farm's still pretty good. He's got 5k at the moment. There's only 200 gold away behind the Gyro. But that is, of course, comparing the mid laner to your safe laner. You know, you look at Havost, he's still not hit 4,000 yet. He's a little bit behind, but maybe with the Blink Dagger now online, we can see him try and find a jump onto someone. And killing someone like the Gyrocopter to this point would be pretty huge for the side of an RV.
A couple of kills under their belt, and I think that Na'Vi would be okay. They just really, really need something to happen soon. A Na'Vi with the Blink Dagger on Centaur, that's going to be their in. And if they can get something going...
Oh, if they get Dendy here, I mean, G's going forward here. He's going to be able to do something. He's got the Laguna Blade. If he can find the Light Strike Array, which he's going to try to, it's just off the mark. Dendy will be able to juke that one off. And now the backup's coming. Havost has got Stampede. He's got the Blink. Can they turn this one around? He's going to blink for Lil straight away with the Telekinesis, pulling Havost away. It's going to be very hard for Na'Vi to continue to fight, and now with the Light Strike around to Havost, Cold Feet probably will tick in as well. Now, yeah, it will. It's going to hold Havost back. The Fissure will come out. It won't quite block them off. FNG and G will be able to retreat. Havost going forward, really wants to find something now, but again, VP there with the control. And meanwhile, Phobos, he's just found himself a kill onto Seneko on this Shaker. Na'Vi, they're just chasing them around like madmen, and VP are coming back in. They brought in Illidan. The cooldown will be onto Dendy. Illidan moving forward with the Rocket Barrage. Then he will get a Requiem Assault off. But it still doesn't look like a great fight for Na'Vi. They're having to run the Laguna Blade flash through. The Ice Blast will be a little bit short. Denny gonna look for the TP, but the Cogs, they're gonna be able to hold him back, and they're gonna find the kill onto the Shadow Fiend. G's chasing down Artstyle with these punches, forcing him back, and 12-2. Again, Na'Vi just can't find the fight.
I gotta say, this play coming out from Lil is unbelievable. He stole Stampede in that fight. He cancels the Requiem. Dendy Requiem, steals the Requiem, still has it available for the next team fight. Like, this guy is an absolute beast. I have been loving his support play thus far within this best of 5 tournament, but it just seems like they're getting outplayed so badly. And I do think that to a degree, their heroes are a lot more versatile in the mid game. Like having the Clockwork in comparison to the Brood, you're basically fighting 4v5 with the Brood. But the general line of thought is we can fight 4v5 because the Brood's always applying pressure to towers. Now Funnick has started to do a little bit of work in the top lane, so it's not all for naught on the side of Na'Vi. I'm not saying these trades are great, but at least Funnick is starting to get off the ground a little bit. And that can be enough to kind of keep VP up there for a little while, maybe focus him, let Dendy get another item, or maybe even they go for a smoke with their Centaur Blink and try to pick somebody off because of that.
They're smoked up and moving towards this Brood Mother. They've got Dust, they've got Sentries if they need it as well. And the Dust is going to latch. G now with a completed duel, setting this one up. Funnick in a lot of trouble. Bit of a BM Laguna Blade there. Could have done a few right clicks, but G wanted to make sure that Funnick felt the and another kill for VP.
G is out of control. He's got his Euls already. He's level 10 now, so only 1 level away from that level 2 Laguna. His burst damage is going to go through the roof. We haven't really talked much about Illidan because, let's be honest, the guy has just been hitting creeps. That's what he does. But his farm is also insane. Like, he's got 2 kills. He's got 107 CS at 14 minutes. Oh, middle lane.
Smoked up straight onto Illidan. They might be able to find this now, but Phobos here with the stun from the hookshot buying some time. It doesn't matter. Illidan will still drop. It looks like they'll lose Havost, sorry. There's Lil just pops the Requiem for the side.
Again. He actually got Stampede again.
I think that's a reason why they pick Lil a lot of Rubik a lot of the time.
His steals have been on point.
Pretty good at Rubik.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that Phobos might have had Battery Assault on, which makes it impossible for Centaur to cast another spell after Stampede. So it could have just been an easy steal because he was kind of trapped in cogs, and then he also got cold feeded as well. So I think that one was maybe not as controllable for Havost, but giving that spell away is really, really bad.
I mean, what's the plan for Na'Vi now? What do you do when you're in this kind of situation? Do you just look to avoid the fights? I mean, we saw them smoked up in the mid lane. They still want to try and go for it. And I guess when you're running something like a position 1 Centaur, you need to fight.
Yeah, I think they wanted this hero for the mid game because they saw the strength of it in the previous match where VP were running around with their silencer and forcing fights with Stampede, and they saw how good it can be. But I'm not really seeing the synergy. Like, they have 1 disable outside of the Centaur, and that's Shaker, right? And the Shaker is very far away from Blink. So once they have Stampede and Blink Dagger on the Shaker, I think the combination becomes very potent. But they're a long way off of that, and their supports, again, were completely ineffective at zoning out Phobos in the offlane. He got free experience, more or less, and as soon as he hits level 6, he starts finding kills. Whereas Funnick, he's still kind of recovering from the pretty bad early game laning phase that he's had. And with the use of the Midas, he will be able to make his way back into the game slowly but surely. And to Navi's credit, they haven't actually lost any towers yet, which is pretty big. It means VP are going to be a little bit more hesitant about going for Roshan. They're not going to be able to snowball that hard. They really need to win a few more fights before they're going to feel super confident.
And we're seeing this again. Na'Vi going for it, smoked up. They really want to try and find something with this Blink Centaur initiation. At the same time, VP, they're going to smoke up themselves, wrap around through the Radiant jungle. Na'Vi making a beeline for the top lane, maybe seeing if a TP reaction is forced out by the pressure that Funnick's applying. And at the same time, it's just going to be AA kind of making his way back across the mid lane. He's got to be careful where he steps. VP, the rest of the side, heading that way as well, but FNG is going to back down towards them. And it's still just Na'Vi sitting around here in the Dire jungle. And here we go, G moving in. They're going to go in on an illusion, but I think they're going to realize it straight away. They're looking for more now. They're going to go here with the Stampede. Seneco's in a bit of trouble, caught out here in the tree line. Light Strike will finish him off. Ice Blast, and now the hook shot. Havorst, he's in a lot of trouble. He'll blow up next to Art Style. Two more heroes dropping on the side, and Na'Vi and VP again. He's taking the fights.
Lil steals Fissure, hits 2, stampedes his team in, secures 2 more kills because of that stolen Fissure. If this guy doesn't have MVP for this game, I don't know. No one deserves it but him. He has actually been playing completely out of his mind so far in this game number 3. I'm actually unsure as to if Na'Vi can afford to take any fights at this point. Like the fact that Dendi is being forced into BKB rush, normally he's the guy who will go for the mech, he'll go for the Yules, he'll go for the blink. He doesn't usually buy BKB first because it doesn't suit his style, and he might even get caught out now,
yeah. Oh, G and Lil, they're going to head the wrong way though. Things are coming out now. They're going to go back. If they can get the Yules initiation, they've got a Laguna Blade and Dendi. Oh, he's in so much trouble. Dendi dropping again. Unstoppable streak for G. Things not going to plan for Na'Vi.
I think that might be an understatement. They're down 15 kills at 17 minutes. It's not great at the moment. But again, no towers taken. It sounds like a small victory, but you'll take what you can get right now if you're Na'Vi. Because right now, this is not a point in the game where you are feeling happy about anything else. Just having the map control is good enough for them at this point. It's one thing to be losing in kills and losing a golden experience if you still have some kind of way of fighting your way back, but if you just lose the map control entirely, then the game actually feels lost. So I would say, even though VP are very far ahead, if Dendi can get his BKB and they can find a good blink initiation, there are potential fights that they can take. It's just going to be really rough.
I mean, I guess the thing as well, I mean, you're saying the fact that VP are yet to take any towers. In terms of kind of a timer on this game, with their lineup, I suppose they don't really feel that pressured. If they want to take it late,
it's
by all means.
The towers aren't an indicator of them having to end the game. It's just an indicator of maintaining their side of the map. Like, they need their own jungle to be able to farm for Dendi, and they need to make sure that VP just aren't always in their face. And the other thing, too, is they're not really putting a whole lot of emphasis on Funnick right now, which means that the Brood pick, he's recovering, but he's also not really creating space for the team. So if you can keep VP off your side of the map for a little while longer, let Dendi get to that BKB, start forcing some team fights when he has map immunity, we could see a bit of a turnaround.
Maybe they'll be able to find this pickup onto FNG. He's been looking for a bit of solo lane farm, of course, trying to get himself close, but they're ward down, and they're going to capitalize on that straight away, jumping on Havos. He can't get any of his spells off here because of the Battery Assault. They'll take down Havos. And I'm kind of running out of words to say here, because VP, once again, taking the team. I feel like I've said it about 20 times this match.
It's a bit of a broken record right now. It's just VP are doing extremely well. It's just, it's one of those situations where Na'Vi, they're still holding on. Seneco is actually still getting close to his blink, and it's 20 minutes in. VP, in the meantime, they do secure the tier 1 in the bottom lane. But we're talking about Blink Shaker, BKB Shadow Fiend, Blink on the Centaur. We talked about how there's not really a whole lot of follow-up until Seneco gets to that point, but that could be the little tipping of the scale that they need to really start taking some engagements. Because if you look at VP, G is not really that tanky. He's got 872 HP. Ancient Apparition is only sitting at around 900. Rubik's in the same boat. If they find a good Echo...
Oh, G. Oh, jeez, no. There's an Ice Blast coming through as well. Dendi. Oh, he's got a Laguna Blade. Can he get in range for it? G moving up. He's trying to find it, but the hole. Phobos with a hook shot. Dendi has popped the BKB, and now with the Requiem, trying to turn this one around, will force Phobos to back off. I mean, Dendi very lucky to keep himself alive there.
Was that like a next level not BKB? Because I'm pretty sure G saw the BKB and just opted not to try to kill him because he thought he would pop the BKB. And then Dendy just doesn't do it and then walks away smiling. That would have been some sick mind games. But overall, I think popping the BKB is the safer play. Still ends up living regardless. A little bit of an interesting exchange there from both teams.
Well, we have got the blink online now for Seneko and the Shaker. So
yeah,
it is something else for Na'Vi.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much been all VP in terms of kills, but if you really look at the net worth, it's 20 minutes in, like 5,000, maybe a little bit closer towards to 6 right now. It's not insurmountable by any means. And the BKB actually does a lot of work against VP's lineup because all of their heroes are essentially comprised of magic damage. AA, Lina, Clockwork, Rubik, even Gyrocopter, a good amount of DPS that he has is magic. So the BKB on Dendy is going to mean his tankiness in the team fights are going to just go up tenfold, right? And then you have your Blink Initiation with your Stampede and your Echo Slam now available. So even fighting in a 4v5, if they can catch out those squishy heroes, they can look to get some kills.
This is going to be potential for a big fight here in the mid lane. Na'Vi, they really want to go for it, but VP, they've got everyone there. They've also got G kind of on the sidelines as well. He's going to be able to look to cheekily wrap round if something kicks off. The question is, who's going to make the first jump here? Illidan just clearing out the Siege Creeper now. Here we go, straight in with a hook shot onto Dendy. They're trying to control it, but Voss actually catches out G here. Down the Lina. This is big for the side of Na'Vi. Dendy posts the BKB, getting the punches through onto Lil, but Lil now with the stolen Stampede. They're trying to turn it around. Snake gets the Echo Stampede too. Can they bring down Illidan? They'll get Illidan as well. 3 heroes dropping on VP. Now they might even find FNG here as well, and they will. Raise from Dendy, finishing it off, and Na'Vi actually taking 4 heroes down, only losing her Voss. What a fight for Na'Vi considering the circumstances that they've been put in by themselves.
And in the meantime, Funnick deals half the damage to the tier 3 tower in the top lane. And look at that swing. What were we saying? 5,000 golden experience lead? Not anymore. Na'Vi back in this game after that one team fight. They got the Blink Dagger up on Dendy now too. So the next time they go for the Stampede Blink, we're looking at potentially a Requiem combo with the Stampede and the Centaur Stomp to be able to just kill somebody instantly.
Here we go, Na'Vi feeling a bit more confident. Dendy's going to start taking down this tier 2 in the mid lane. And we were talking always about how Funnick had a terrible early game. There was always the potential for him to catch back up. You look at the net worth board now, and he is 4th on it.
Yeah, he got that Midas. It's done a lot of work for him so far. He's back up to 2,800 gold right now, the Midas treads. So the last time we saw him go this build, he actually went like BKB Desolator or something like that. And he just ended up split pushing the entire game. And his right click was actually insane. And I also want to say that was a game where they also had Lycan.
Yes, it was the How. Yeah, with the How.
Yeah,
I remember that was.
It was a really sick combo actually. Yeah. But this game he might be going for more of the same. Might opt for something else like Book. Really just depends on if he feels comfortable trying to push into that base with that magic community, because it is still very scary. I just think it's pretty funny that with a 13 kill lead, you look at a team and you say the game is still far from over. And that's pretty much the point we're at right now. VP, they made one really big mistake diving into that tier 1, maybe underestimating the team fight Na'Vi a bit, and I'm pretty sure they didn't know Seneko had Blink when they took that engagement as well. So that was like the free initiation that he gets for that.
Seneko just hung there to choose bottom lane. Dendy and Avos thinking about pushing. Ice Blast is going to connect. DK Phobos though is kind of the follow-up that VP need, and he's going to be towards the mid lane, so not able to do anything to follow that one up. But still, if we actually have a look at the graphs now, how much was that swing round? Yeah, it was enough.
They literally brought it to 0. Yeah, it was just the one fight that they needed.
Top lane, he's going on to Funnick, but Seneko, who's hanging around hiding there, and he'll be able to take advantage of Lina going in there for the kill, and that is a big kill. If you're able to kill G on this Lina, who's been having an absolutely fantastic game so far, you're going to be very happy with that art style. We'll be able to get himself away. Seneko buys him some time with that Fissure. But still, this is big. I mean, VP, with the lead that they've had, they can't give away these kills on these to the side of Na'Vi.
The other question now, I guess, that we have to ask ourselves is there a point in the game where Na'Vi actually become too powerful to fight? Because I'm looking at Gyro, I'm looking at Lina late game, and it's pretty good. But I think that Shadow Fiend with Centaur and also having the Broodmother might just be a little bit better, just for being able to play a more flexible style. Like VP, they want to look for fights all the time. Like this hero composition is built around fighting. And having the Ancient Apparition is fantastic for being able to deep-push and kind of stop the enemy team from going high ground for long periods of time. But I'm not entirely convinced that buying time for yourself is going to be the only way to play against Na'Vi. You still have to try to force the advantage a bit. And I think after taking that one disastrous fight and even losing G a second time in a row in that top lane is going to deter them from going too aggressive for the time being.
BKB is now going to be the item of choice from Funnick, so I guess orientating towards more of a fighting Broodmother build to offer to the kind of 5v5 engagements that the Na'Vi have been finding themselves in when VP force themselves down the lanes.
The BKB, I think, is his only choice, because if he stays in a place where he's not really catchable, then he can force reactions all he wants, and he's always safe. Never gives up anything.
Top lane, indeed. Hookshot from Phobos straight onto the Earthshaker. Not a lot he can do at all. Flailing around, trying to cast something. It's not going to happen with that battery assault, and Seneko getting wiped off the board.
That was a bit of unfortunate timing. He actually barely walked into vision of the Clockwork there to get taken out. But again, this game is very even at this point. It really just depends on who takes the better engagements. I think that Na'Vi might have a bit of an easier time taking the fights themselves because they don't have to worry about landing the hook shot. They don't have to worry about landing the Ancient Apparition ulti. They can just pop Stampede, maneuver around, look for a nice echo, and then you can have your Blink Initiation with your Centaur, and then Dendi can follow it up with his BKB Requiem, also having the Blink Dagger in his inventory, of course. And he's even got 3,000 gold on top of the items that he had before. And Funnick,
nice try, man. Up against DK Phobos. They probably BKB in with the damage. Is it going to be enough here to bring down this Clockwork? It might just, and yeah, Funnick going to find a solo kill there onto Phobos. Arstal and foes coming in as well. They want to find more. They want to see if they can catch out G. G's going to turn around. He's got the backup of Lil and FNG, and FNG now popping the dust. Now, do Na'Vi want to continue to whoops one? It's a 3 versus 3. Now they've added Seneko into the fray. He'll find the Fissure onto FNG. They're going to blink forward for this. Funnick moving forward through the webs. And she's going to simply TP, and yeah, Na'Vi are going to look for more, but well, again, Na'Vi finding a big kill. They're taking down one of the cores of VP.
Now looking a little bit shaky right now for VP. Again, still much Dota to be played here in this game. Oh, Echo Slam, middle lane.
Straight in onto Illidan. Fissure as well. Havos to follow up. This is going to be big if they can do it. And they can. They take down Illidan. Ice Blast will fly through, but Seneko just able to get himself out. There's going to be a Yules onto Havos. He's able to force himself away. And now Na'Vi looking for more. Looking for Lil. They'll find it. Seneko will get taken down by G there with the Dragon Slave. Havos, will he blink in for this one? G's a little bit too speedy. Gets himself out. But again, another engagement that's not clearly favoring the side of VP, unlike what we were seeing in the first, 15, 18 minutes of this game.
But this is also the kind of game that I was expecting, a back and forth, not just a one-sided stomp. Like the first 2 games, VP were pretty convincing in their wins. I think a lot of it was based on draft. This game, I still feel like their draft was a lot better, and it's kind of showing now because their mid-game is coming to fruition. They have all the core items they need on their heroes. It's just a matter of taking the proper fights and making sure that you don't give away too much to the Gyrocopter. And I gotta say, this Gyro's died 3 times in a row. So Illidan, his early game might have been exceptional, but his farm rate has kind of staggered a little bit. I mean, he's not really highest net worth anymore. Dendi's a little bit higher than him. Na'Vi also are going to be able to get Roshan off of this. Like, everything is going in Navi's favor at this point.
I mean, VP are moving towards the pit here. Can they lift the play? Yes, they can. Phobos going straight in. It doesn't matter. Dendi is still able to find the Aegis, and Radiant will kill Roshan. It looks like they might lose Artstyle here as they pay the price with a Dazzle Death. But nonetheless, they're going to be happy with that one, getting Roshan and getting the Aegis onto the SF.
Yeah, that's a worth moment. Dendi's actually, I think, going straight for Scotty. And once he gets that, the single target damage output on the side of VP, they're going to have to do everything if they want to kill him even for the first time. And that's assuming he doesn't have his BKB available. So they're going to have to find him, burst him super hard, and take him out without either Stampede coming in. Oh, God.
Seneko! They're going to find G coming out too far, and Seneko. That trick was worked a couple of times there, hiding in the trees, waiting for G to come out to look for Funnick and just turning it around onto the Lina.
I gotta say, in these circumstances, being down 2 games, being 1 game away from elimination, and having the kind of early game that Na'Vi had to keep their composure the way they did and come back in this manner, nothing short of impressive. Like, I gotta commend Na'Vi for this particular game. Like, they have done a phenomenal job at making their way back in.
It's got a Desolator now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the exact build he did the other day. So he just goes for the Deso, he goes either high ground or he chases down supports and he just goes for them because they, like, it's Ancient Apparition and Rubik. Like, what are they going to do against a farm Brood? He pops the BKB and you cannot outrun it. Unless you have Ghost or Force, you're pretty much just dead rates.
I'll be honest, if you look at the graphs now, it's totally swung round, back favoring the side of Na'Vi, and now they're pretty much at a lead that's closing in on the lead that VP had in the early game. So VP certainly slipping away from them. With their lineup, obviously with the Gyro, they're going to have good late game presence. They can still turn it around, but if you look at the individual heroes farm, it is now Dendi that's at the top on his Shadow Fiend with 13,500 under his belt.
Now the problem with the Gyro carry I feel for this game is that there's not many heroes on the side of Na'Vi that actually care that much about Flat Cannon. Like, sometimes you're in a matchup where, say Virtus.Pro and Navi swapped supports, right, and you had Rubik and AA, then I would say the Flat Cannon would actually do a lot of work because it's two very squishy supports with no sustain. But they have Dazzle, they have a Centaur core, Dendi, who's probably got his Scotty by the next team fight before it even rolls out, and then a Shaker who's not going to be coming in until he knows he can find a nice Echo, and Bird's not even going to be there. So the Flak doesn't really seem as effective as it would normally, and you're relying pretty heavily on your call down, which they can just avoid with Stampede. I actually feel like the Gyro core feels, in the mid to late game, a little bit lackluster against Navi's composition.
Bottom lane, Sneko hiding in the trees. He says, hey, Dendi, watch this. It works every time, and it does indeed. He's going to bring G-Lo. He's able to keep himself alive with the Yours, but he still goes down. They'll find the kill again, and G, I'd say he's not going to be a fan of the people who hide in the trees this game.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a mistiming, actually, coming out from Sneko. A little bit uncommon, but he staggered his enchant totem a little bit too much, allowed G to get the self-Yules off, but they still kill him, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And yeah, there we go. Scotty up on Dendi. Suddenly that hero is not unkillable, but pretty damn difficult to take down at this point. And Illidan's still looking to make his towards his first real damage item.
He's going to try and fight up against Funny here, but Funny's got the back up of Perversion with the Stampede jumping in. Illidan will be able to get the PKB off for the damage. With this Desolated Brute, just seems to be too much. Illidan has to get himself back up to the high ground. Phobos has TP'd in, which will stop the aggression. And Phobos, does he want to try and fight into this? I mean, there's 3 heroes here, buddy. It might not be the best move. He's got the hook shot. He's fine, gets himself out. But again, we're seeing them, the side of VP just get to this point where they're really struggling against what Na'Vi have managed to accomplish.
They don't really have an answer for the BKBs. That's a huge thing for them. Is Dendi, for the longest time, he was kept away from getting the BKB. He couldn't go for his normal item progression that he likes. He couldn't get his Yules. He couldn't get his mech. He had to go straight up Magic Immunity. And the reason why is just because the supports are they're deleted from the game because of BKBs. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? If Dendi pops BKB or the Brood pops BKB, you have to watch. You are a bystander.
Look, I mean, look at this. Look who's in the trees again.
He's spotted.
He's spotted this time. This time the jig is up. They know that he's around, and they might try and even go for the kill. He's going to try and look for the TP. There's going to be the Yules from G to cancel it. 4 heroes go on VP, and this time they'll punish the Earthshaker hiding in the trees.
I guess this is maybe what Na'Vi had in mind when they were going here.
Look at top lane though, Andy.
Yeah, there's a spider problem. But if Na'Vi think of it in the sense that they know their supports are going to be more effective throughout the game than what VP have, they might be okay with trading the lane losses just by virtue of, okay, once we get our BKBs up, we know that our mid game is going to be good, and we have Shaker to fall back on with that Blink Dagger too. Even though they had, what, like a, I want to say 13, 14 kill lead at some point, Na'Vi kept their composure. They now have a drastic advantage. And the other thing, too, is VP don't really have the same ways of counterplaying as Na'Vi do in the mid-late game. Like, they don't have that big wombo combo Shaker with the Requiem or anything like that, or Stampede, for that matter. So the team fight abilities that Na'Vi have actually, on top of that, without even mentioning Weave, I think are just hands down superior at this point.
A couple of notable pickups there for the side of VP. They do now have the Ags on Lina, and they do now have the Blink on Rubik. So these are obviously going to be big factors to take note of when the fights next kick off. But well, VP playing a lot safer now, pretty much grouping up as 5 every time they move out of the base, because rightfully so, they're just a little bit scared of Na'Vi at this point.
They should be. There's not really a whole they can do. I mean, poor Lil. This guy, in my opinion, had the MVP vote very early on. Probably still does, just considering his early game. And now all of a sudden, Rubik just feels pretty lackluster when you're up against these cores that even if you steal great spells, even if you steal Stampede, you're pretty much only going to be using it to run away. Like, how are you supposed to gauge to Na'Vi's lineup at this point? And we haven't really talked much about him, but Pavos has BKB now. He's probably even going back for the Aghanim Scepter.
And now in the mid lane with a couple of them smoked, so they might try base him and straight away jumping forward onto G. They're going to bring down the leader. There's going to be a hook shot from Phobos, but BKBs have already been popped by Dendi and Averse. They're going to try and fight through this now. Going in with the Stampede, closing the gap, moving closer to Illidan and Phobos. But Lil here with the Stolen Echoes will be able to bring down the Earthshaker. Now it's Averse in trouble as Phobos there will find the second hook shot, bringing down the center as a 2-for-1. But top lane, Funnick, he's looking for the racks, and he might even look for the kill as well. Lil's going to pop the dust, and that is going to be the Funnick's going to have to run. There's going to be Telekinesis holding him in place, but now Funnick pops the beat. If he just turns around, 1, 2, 3, brings down Lil. He might even look for more. There's going to be Storm Rage coming in with the Rocket Barrage, trying to force back Brood. Phobos looks running forward as well, now second dust, but this time doesn't quite catch Funnick. Funnick will be able to get away with all of that as well, and mid lane Na'Vi do find a second tower. They're taking down the tier 2.
Now Funnick is starting to become a real nuisance for Virtus.Pro. they don't really have a great way of killing him anymore either. Like, they have to pretty much line up a hook shot and then hope that they have the physical damage dealers there to kill him inside of the cogs, because what happens most of the time, if Phobos is there by himself, is he just pops BKB and then he pops his ulti and then you just have to force staff out, right? Like, you can't actually fight him in there because he'll just out-lifesteal any damage that you can do. So he requires a minimum of like 2 or 3 heroes to even kill him. And that's just forcing him out of your base. That's not even really getting an advantage on the map. It's just saying, okay, well, Brood's gone now, thankfully. But at this point, I guess the next thing that VP could be waiting for is to just drag out the duration of the BKBs. So try to take a few fights, don't give away anything big, but try to whittle the BKBs down to 5 seconds so your supports can kind of come back into the game. Talking about things like maybe the Ancient Apparition eventually getting his Aghanims. FNG is very far away from that point. But Rubik, he can get a Force Staff, he can get a Ghost Scepter. They need some items to keep themselves alive in the fight, and also because the BKBs getting shorter means that you'll be able to do more during the engagements themselves. So, VP definitely on the back foot for the time being.
There's a lot of money on both Funnick and Dendi, and Dendi picking up the Crystallis here. He's going to look to build towards that completed crit. And I mean, the question is really on this on the Spider. What do you go for next for the Brood?
He could just go for Assault Cuirass. It would synergize very well with his minus armor build. He could go any damage. He could go Butterfly. He could go for MKB is not really needed. No one really has a Butterfly on the side of Virtus.Pro just yet, but his options are pretty wide open. It just depends on what he's feeling, really.
Well, we're going to see this side of Na'Vi. I think they're just checking out Roche, which will be back up in just over a couple of minutes now. So it's going to be a bit of a longer wait, and VP, they're aware of this. They want to try and maybe contest this and maybe try and fight before Roshan spawns. Illidan moving forward will be spotted out by the ward. And Na'Vi, it's a question of whether they want to jump into this one, and it looks like the answer is no for the time being, just backing up. Keeping close to Dendi. The VP themselves not feeling confident enough to move straight over the river and into the Radiant territory here. So they themselves don't have any vision at this side of the map.
I guess the one saving grace for Virtus.Pro at the moment is the Aghanim's Laguna Blade. That's going to be how they're going to actually burst somebody down. Hook shot in.
Phobos, does he really want to do this? I mean, they're jumping into the side of Na'Vi, and the clockwork is going to get blown up. That's going to be Dendi on a killing spree. Illidan's moving forward, but Avos now with a Stampede. They want to try and continue. Dendi incredibly low. 30 HP, gets the record off. No, he doesn't. He ends up getting taken down with a flat cannon hits there from Illidan. Funnick trying to man fight up. It doesn't matter. Echo! Massive double kill for Echo. FNG going down as well. It's a team wipe, and my goodness, that Echo Slam was good, Andy.
You couldn't have asked for a better performance out of Seneko on that Echo. I mean, he hit pretty much everyone in the area. I think the only person who didn't get hit was FNG, but he still took the Echo damage itself, so unbelievable play. It actually looked like Virtus.Pro were going to pull that out until the very last second, and I don't want to repeat something that's been said a lot, but patience from the Earthshaker, you know what I mean? Like that.
I've got to say, Seneco's performance has been... It's been key. It's been amazing. Every time catching people out, we've seen him slowly whittle down G's performance, getting the kills. And now in a team fight where it counts, you know, Dendi gets taken down. It's looking a bit rough and ready for Na'Vi. Funnick's trying to man fight up, getting very low against G. And then suddenly Seneko says, "You need some help, buddy? I'll come in." Massive Echo Slam catching the 4 of them. And wow, Seneko as well. Well, we're talking about the guy. That's not a replay. We're showing more of the action here. Could be in trouble. There's Phobos comes through. It looks like he may go down, but I mean, even just getting another little cheeky kill on top of it all, it's Seneko. I mean, he can play Winter Wyvern. He's pretty good on the Shaker as well, Andy.
It's one of his more notable heroes, to say the least, and being shown why right now here in this third game between Virtus.Pro and Na'Vi. Roshan's finally spawned, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be the next point of contention for both teams. I don't really think that Virtus.Pro can afford to give this away. I think that Na'Vi have shown that their team fights are still very strong, and they can threaten high ground with Dendi's level of farm at this point. He's even going to be close to his Daedalus. He's only 400 away. I think we could be seeing a fight break out very, very soon over that Roshan pit.
And Vost, he's burning towards this Aghanims by the looks of it. How close is he at the moment?
Oh, he's got it.
That's how close he is. Completed Aghanims. So obviously having that reduced damage as well during this fight. 60% reduction. It's going to be pretty big, especially playing against a team that's got so much AoE in regards to the flat cannon and the Ice Blast flying through.
If you can pop it at the right time, you essentially negate things like Laguna Blade, which is the main reason why VP were even able to kill Dendi in the first place. So if you manage to get that off at a decent timing, Havos could be like the make or break for the team fight in terms of damage reduction and being able to stay strong and just chase down and finish off VP if anything breaks out. And around this Roshan pit, this is going to be one of the most, if not the most, impactful fight for either team.
It's certainly going to be a tough one for VP. You're looking at the net worth at the moment. They're coming up to about 17,500 ahead, Na'Vi. thanks to how the mid game and going into late game has panned out for them. And Illidan's going to start to chip away at Roshan. They've got everything available here, Na'Vi. It's going to be a hard one for VP to take because Na'Vi are certainly not going to let it go without a fight. Illidan moving forward here. Just going to be able to get away with that vision. Havos going out. He's going to be able to bring out the BKB from Illidan. And now Na'Vi, they'll probably wait until that one's gone. And now it's going to be a great time for Na'Vi to fight. Here we go, Funny going straight in, and now Seneko again catching Do. Phobos will go down as well. Phobos and Illidan falling. FNG falls. G will yours himself. I don't think he gets out of this one. He's going to just melt to the power of Na'Vi. 4 heroes falling on VP. They just can't fight at this point, Andy.
Another brilliant fight coming out there from Na'Vi. Havos baiting out the BKB. He just has to pop it. Illidan doesn't have a choice. If they stampede and they run into him and he gets stunned, he actually just dies. There's nothing that they can do about it. He has to use his magic immunity. They're even going to force double buyback here.
Oh, can they get Seneko here? They're going to throw the Yules. They're going to try and lock him down here with the stun, and they'll find him with the force stuff out. And the Glimmer Cape. Meaning that Seneko is going to be okay in this situation. And as you said, the buybacks had come out from VP. And Na'Vi, they still want to fight. They know that they're in a strong position and they want to make the most of it. Illidan gets forced forward there by Na'Vi. Now Havos getting him with the Hoost on the double edge. Illidan getting loaded with the Light Striker, catching Funnick is slowing down the aggression for Na'Vi, but now the Skadi hits flying through. Funnick blinking forward. They'll take down Illidan. That's a dieback on your gyrocopter. G's in trouble as well. He'll blow up. Double kill for Dendi. 3 heroes down at the moment. Neither G or Illidan with buyback available. They're going to lose FNG. It's only Little left standing, and Na'Vi slowly dismantling VP. They'll be able to take down a second tier 3. Little there with the stolen double edge does bring down the Dazzle. But Funnick, he's just going to go forward. There's your Little going down, and Phobos, he might be in trouble as well. No, he's going to be okay. He's not going to be able to find a kill. And this is going to be the mid-racks going down, and not a lot the VP can do to stop it.
What a comeback from Na'Vi, honestly. Like, they're going to call it GG right now.
Na'Vi did it.
Na'Vi, they're going to take it to a game 4 here in this best of 5 series. And I gotta say, the beginning of that game looked a little bit grim. And coming back from a 13 kill deficit and making just an absolute show of it. Very, very well done from Na'Vi. During that mid-game fight where they started diving to tier 1, that was the first sign of weakness for Virtus.Pro. They overextend a little bit too much. The Blink Dagger from Seneko comes in huge. They get a big turnaround. They get the BKB up on Dendi at around the same time. And the Blink Dagger on Havos, and that combo play just proved to be too much for Virtus.Pro during the mid